Why don't you bash him? She asked. You know, bunch of fives right on the nose. I looked at her. A lifetime of armchair violence, my mother. Well, I didn't like to say so at the time, you know, I let her think it was a normal betrayal and all that. So I just said, look, that solves nothing, mother. And she knew I meant it because I called her mother. Well, it works the same way when she uses my middle name. Paul Anthony, what time do you call this? And Paul Anthony, you've not dried out the bath again? And, Paul Anthony, these chips have skin on them. Anyway, she's moved on to the kids now. It's her latest thing. I hope they're not going to call him Dad. And the ever popular, she shall be boiled in oil, and other suitably violent endings. That armchair has witnessed some truly horrendous deaths. Meanwhile, I get my whole room back. Although it says Dylan on the door, it's my son's room when he stays here. And then Megan, she's in the box room, which is currently occupied by a horde of fluffy animals. They haven't been here for months. Sue says it's to get the kids settled into the new family. But we both know it's because of the phone call. I told Mum not to do it. I said to her, it'll be counterproductive, I said. But I came into the living room and there she was letting loose. I think it was when she called her a two-timing whore and a slut. That was the point of no return. Well, it was after that Sue said the kids shouldn't come here. And for now, well, I've accepted that it's probably for the best. Well, Mother wouldn't be able to stop herself. Sue would be vilified. I've been to the new family unit, you know. Oh, it's very alien. Standing in what's been my home for, 10 years or more, and feeling completely out of place. I stay over on Saturdays while they go out and have some space for themselves, you know. There's a perfectly good bed upstairs, but, you know, I prefer to sleep on the settee. Well, it's not my house anymore. It's moved on. So we go out, weather permitting. There's a great park down the road and there's always a cinema, although it is a bit expensive. I'm saving, you see, for a deposit. I haven't told Mum yet. She thinks I'm staying put, but as it stands, I don't think it's healthy for either of us. I'm living rent-free, so all my wages are basically going into my savings account. But it's the bedrooms. That's the problem. You see, it has to be 3. Well, that costs. I'm not ready to be a carer, and Mum is fine looking after herself. I'm sure she means well, and I'm sure she thinks she's helping by running Sue down at every given opportunity, but really she's not. I mean, the fact was, the marriage was over, and we discussed separating several times, and neither of us wanted to live in a war zone anymore, and there seemed no way back. And then Sue told me about the affair. And well, that put a full stop to everything. I bought a new TV. Oh, well, it's been my one indulgence since moving here. Watching TV with Mum is like an audience with Mary Whitehouse. Bad language out. Nudity out. Homosexuality is definitely out. Or any sex scenes are, well, thankfully, instantly turned off. Oh, what is permissible is a series of Channel 5 afternoon films recorded back to back, so I don't even have to miss those when I'm in work. And Coronation Street, well, that is a cultural highlight compared to such delights as Stalked by the Killer Mother and Killer Mother Switched at Birth. Still, what can I say? Well, I haven't the heart to tell Mum about plans about my house, and she does like the company. But if I don't get out here, it may well be Killer Son jilted at Christmas. I've got a friend. She was in the same year in college. Although I don't really know where I stand with her. Well, you know, my head swirling a bit from everything that's gone on. I'm not sure what Donna thinks of me. Well, she's in an unhappy marriage, but, you know, there are kids and stuff, and it's all a bit of a mess, really. She's in therapy, and I can see how that sort of thing might help her. It might even help me. For the first time in I don't know how long, I feel alone. It's clear I'm not, but inside my head, everything's become distant. The kids, well, we get on, but, you know, it's clear that Sue has other ideas of who should be their parents, and, well, I can't compete. She has someone. They've quickly become settled, and I feel like an outsider. You know, it's weird, but I can't wait to have my own house again and be on my own. How does that work? Feeling alone when surrounded by company, and not alone when no one's there. Maybe I should get in touch with Donna's therapist. We have a date tomorrow. But it has to be somewhere far away from where she lives. Well, apparently Stephen knows a lot of people in a lot of places, and so when we are out, all I do is catch her looking over her shoulder all the time. It's anything but perfect, but, well, I guess I'm grabbing at something that might bring me back to normality. I'm just not sure Donna's the right person to do it. Well, I fear another failed relationship, but I'm drawn to her. Like a moth to a flame, I suppose, is the cliche. I'm often told that the breakdown of a relationship is almost imperceptible. It's so gradual, you don't even notice it. However, I can pinpoint the very moment when things went wrong, and yet it was the moment of celebration. For 5, perhaps 6 years, you know, we'd had a pretty good marriage. I mean, the kids were thriving, financially reasonably comfortable. I mean, although Sue had lost her job whilst pregnant with our daughter, but still, we were okay. And then Sue got a new job. And I bought a bottle of champagne to celebrate, and, well, I should have bought a year's worth of marriage counselling instead. The new workmates, you know, young, outgoing, not weighed down by family. Well, Sue, she got a taste for it, and she never looked back. And that was the beginning of the end. Well, she socialised more and more, and becoming more and more distant from me and the kids. We became like ships passing in the night. No communication, nothing. And I got really frustrated and angry regularly until it was, well, it was unbearable. Well, yes, and of course, from the new social group came the new love interest. And that was that. It was a relief, to be honest, when she told me. It was a chance to get away from her. But when you've got kids, you don't really get away. There'll be school plays, concerts, and parents' evening that'll just keep dragging you back together. And all either of us wanted to do was stay apart. Socialising with a person you deeply, deeply hate is not easy. And people with high blood pressure should avoid it at all costs. 2 hours with Sue at last week's parents' evening, I swear, brought on symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. I would rather have spent an evening being shot at by Iraqi snipers, maybe even being shot by an Iraqi sniper. Oh, no, nothing serious, just a flesh wound or something to the upper arm, like that. But definitely would have been less painful than nodding and smiling all bloody evening and secretly wanting to strangle the person sitting next to you. It's quite a skill. Telling Mr. Jenkins how pleased you are with Megan's progress while grinding your teeth at the same time. Tonight, Mum's birthday tomorrow. Tomorrow? What use is a reminder of the night before? God! There I was, sitting, watching the rugby with a beer and crisps, while Mum's out seeing a friend. It tastes so much better when you're breaking the house rules, No food or drink in the living room, and no, a tray will not do. Now, who's got the neatest handwriting? Megan. I'll write hers right-handed, and I'll write Dylan's left-handed. Well, he's much more of a scroller. She will go berserk if there aren't any cards. Or it'll be another bugbear for at least a year or more. And it doesn't help that these cards are shit. Well, it's all the co-op had. Oh, and mine's at least a centimetre smaller than last year's, which means I love her at least 10 millimetres less than I did 365 days ago. And those flowers, well, they've seen better days. Oh, God, she'll be home in an hour. You see, Sue, she was always good with dates and stuff. So now I'm going to have to explain to the kids before she phones them to thank them that they did send a card. But actually it was from me, if you see what I mean. Well, and of course, it has to be one from each of them. Oh, no, I don't send joint Christmas cards now, do I? No, and it has to arrive before lunchtime, or the day's half over. And in this case, that shouldn't be a problem. Oh, well, they'll be going to bed now. It'll be too late to phone. I'll call tomorrow, just to give them the heads up. Well, you see, birthdays are important. Well, they are to my mother. You see, there's a protocol here. Cards, as I said, they must arrive before midday. Presents are okay to arrive before tea time. And under no circumstances, indeed on pain of death, should any card be whimsical, amusing, or rude. Those are absolute no-nos. Then there's the standings. See, mine and the kids, they're displayed on the mantelpiece and have to have pride of place. The living room side table is for non-essential relatives. And finally, the cards from friends have a free-for-all on any surface that isn't covered by ornaments. Now, I must get these written. It's been a terrible day. Possibly the worst ever. I came home from work a bit early, as it's Mum's birthday, only to find her in the living room with 4 cards in front of her. Well, 2 I recognise as the ones I got from the kids, and 2 I didn't. Well, it turns out, you see, that Sue had remembered my mum's birthday, and thinking that I would forget, which is, a fairly accurate, as it happens, had Dylan and Megan each send a card to their nan. Well, of course, she already had 2 cards I'd bought for them. "You forgot," she said. Well, what can I say? Well, I didn't have much defence. And then what made it worse is, well, I complimented Sue. Sue was always the one that was good with dates, I said. We were at DEFCON 3 at that point. So anyway, I tried to make it up. I said I'd take her shopping, Well, we needed food, and she could look around the clothing section, like she likes to, and she could buy whatever she fancied. So we did, except as we were looking around, the assistant, or trying to be helpful, referred to me as her husband. God, I hate that, and it's not the first time. So I lost it a bit, after everything that had gone on with the cards, and I said, "Do I look like her husband, for Christ's sake? She's my bloody mother." Well, the assistant was horrified. My mother was horrified. And then I realised what I said. So was I. DEFCON 2. Well, a million apologies later, we were out of there with a hat and scarf set, a new jumper, assorted groceries, and my tail between my legs. Oh, but that wasn't the end. No, it never is. So we got home and Mum started again, until for the second time that night I lost it. And I told her that running Sue down to me was winding me up, and that Sue did have some good points. Also, if she wanted to see the grandkids again, she had better make up with her or there'll be issues. And running Sue and her partner down to the kids was completely out of the question. Well, and suddenly, armchair warfare was declared. I still don't know why you don't go round there and throw him out. Go on, the bloody usurper. Don't let him get away with breaking up your family. Sock him one. I've never hit a woman, Mum. You could almost see the cogs turning as this sank in. Well, Sue was basically a pervert and the kids would be ruined forever. It all culminated in her taking herself off to bed crying. Well, at least I hadn't mentioned moving out. That'll be for another day. Well, I got me bad boys today. Hey, 3-bed terrace. It's only half a mile from the old house. Oh, it's got to be done up a bit. It's not quite ready for the kids to spend time there yet, but that day is coming. They're excited about choosing their own colour scheme, though I'm not sure Dylan's request of orange dinosaur wallpaper is big on the interior design circuit these days. Mum, well, she seems to have accepted it. I arranged for a photographer to come around on the kids' first day back visiting her, and we had a nice family photograph. It'll replace the one that she threw in the bin, which featured that scarlet woman. The armchair violence, well, that still continues unabated. If they ever come near here, I'll knife them. Seems to be the latest war cry. Still, the likelihood of Sue, Rachel and my mum coming within 5 miles of each other is unlikely. Thank God. Donna, well, she's gone back full-time to her husband. So no more secret meetups. For the kids, she said, but there's more to it than that. Probably best out of it, to be honest. I'm online dating instead. It's interesting and new, and a bit scary. But it has worked for a friend of mine, so fingers crossed and everything. Mum's much better since Sue relented, and the kids have begun visiting again. They went to her dad's grave last week, which cheered her up, I've repeatedly warned her not to character assassinate their mum, and, well, she's agreed. Well, how long that'll last is anybody's guess. This has been like a jail sentence, to be honest. And I felt for some of it I've been wearing my father's ill-fitting shoes. But I'll soon be gone. And finally, no longer will I be keeping mum. Well, not all of the time anyway.
Theatre Adhoc presents Change at GORDANO, a comedy by Julia Lewis.
Can I ask you all to quickly find your seats and ensure that there are no obstructions to the back passageway, so that those preferring to enter from the rear can pass through unhindered?
Well, technically it is a holiday, but I like to think of it as more of a test of human endurance.
Look, Terry, thanks for the advice, but if you're going to use examples to make your point, try and use ones from real life and not the realms of fantasy.
Sorry. I almost died of a broken heart.
Seriously.
Well, no, it were a burst appendix.
This is going to be my first and last coach trip.
So for now, sit back and enjoy your journey in air-conditioned luxury on this Carlton's Holidays coach tour of the Dordogne.